Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm really happy you're here today.
Me too. I feel like today is going to be a good one.
I think so. And you know what's funny? Today we're talking about something that sounds a little big, a little dramatic, maybe.
Oh, yeah? What do you mean?
Well, the title of today's episode is This Video Will Change Your Life. And I know, that sounds like a lot.
It does sound a little intense, like change my life, really?
Right. But here's the thing. We're not talking about some big, crazy secret. We're talking about something small, something simple, something you do every single day.
Okay, now I'm curious. What is it?
Introducing yourself.
Introducing yourself. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, I have to be honest. My first thought was, that doesn't sound life-changing.
I know. And that's exactly why I love this topic, because most people think it's too simple. They think, oh, I already know how to say my name. I already know how to say where I'm from. Easy.
But it's not that easy, is it?
It really isn't, especially in English, especially when you're nervous, especially when you're meeting someone new and your brain just stops.
Oh, that feeling. Yes, I know that feeling very well.
Everyone does. And that's the thing. When you can introduce yourself well, when you feel confident, when the words come out smoothly, everything changes. The conversation starts well. The other person feels comfortable, and you feel good about yourself.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because if the introduction goes well, you relax, and then the whole conversation is easier.
Exactly. It's like the first step. If the first step is confidence, everything after it is easier.
I like that. Okay, so let's talk about it. How do we start? What's the very first thing?
Okay, so the most basic thing, the most simple thing, is just saying your name. And you'd think everyone can do this, but there's actually a right way and a not so great way to do it.
Really? Even just saying your name?
Yes. Okay, think about this. Imagine you walk into a room and you meet someone, and they say, Hi, my name is, John. Very slow, very quiet, looking at the floor.
Oh no, that's not great.
It's not. Now imagine the same person walks in and says, Hey, I'm John. Great to meet you. Smiling, looking at you.
Okay, that's so different. Same words, but totally different feeling.
Right. So the words matter, but so does how you say them, your voice, your energy, even your face.
So even before the words, the feeling behind them matters.
Exactly. And for English learners especially, this is important because sometimes learners focus so much on getting the grammar right that they forget about the feeling. They forget to smile. They forget to sound warm.
That's such a good point. I think a lot of learners feel like if I make a mistake, the whole thing is ruined.
Yes, and that's just not true. People don't remember if you use the wrong article, they remember how you made them feel.
That's actually really reassuring. So, okay, let's say someone is introducing themselves. What should they actually say?
Okay, so the simplest introduction has a few parts. First, your name. Second, where you're from. And third, what you do. That's it. Those three things.
Name, where you're from, what you do.
Right. And here's what's nice about that. It gives the other person something to talk about. If I say my name, they know what to call me. If I say where I'm from, maybe they've been there or they have questions. And if I say what I do, again, conversation starter.
It's like you're giving them little doors to open.
Oh, I love that. Yes, little doors. You're giving them three little doors and they can choose which one to open.
Okay, so let's actually hear how this sounds, like a real example.
Sure. So imagine I meet you for the first time. I'd say something like, Hi, I'm Alex. I'm from Canada, originally from a small town called Kingston, and I work as a teacher.
Okay, that's nice. It's short, it's clear, and it gives me options. I could ask about Canada, I could ask about teaching.
And you know what's great? I didn't say a lot, maybe 4 sentences, but it's enough. You don't need to tell your whole life story in the first 30 seconds.
Right, right. Some people do that though, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. We all know someone like that. You ask their name, and suddenly they're telling you about their childhood.
Yes. Okay, so keep it short. Three things: name, where you're from, what you do.
And then, this is important, stop, and then ask about them.
Ooh, yes, that's big.
It's huge because a good introduction isn't a monologue, it's not a speech, it's the beginning of a conversation. So after you say your part, you turn it around.
And how do you do that? What do you actually say?
Something simple. What about you? Or, and you? Or, how about yourself? All very natural, all very easy.
I like in you because it's so short.
Me too. It's friendly and it shows you're interested. And that's the key. You want the other person to feel like you care about them, not just that you're waiting for your turn to talk.
Right. Nobody likes talking to someone who's just waiting to talk again.
Exactly. So when you ask and you actually listen to the answer, that's when a real conversation starts.
Okay, so let's say we're practicing this. Someone says, "Hi, I'm Maria. I'm from Brazil, from Sao Paulo. I'm a graphic designer. And you?"
Perfect. Short, clear, warm, and ends with a question. Beautiful.
And then the other person would respond and maybe ask a follow-up question about Sao Paulo or about design.
Right. And now you have a real conversation happening. It started with just a name and two facts, but now you're actually talking.
I think people underestimate how powerful that is. Just those first few sentences, they really do set the tone.
They do. You know, there's a phrase in English, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Oh, I've heard that before. What does it mean exactly?
It means the first time someone meets you, they form an opinion, and that opinion is hard to change. So the first impression really matters.
That's a little scary, actually.
It can feel scary, but I think the more prepared you are, the more you've practiced your introduction, the less scary it feels. Because when you know what you're going to say, you feel calm. And when you feel calm, you come across as confident.
Practice makes you feel confident. That's the key, right?
That's the key. And the great thing about an introduction is it's always the same. It doesn't change much. Your name doesn't change. Where you're from doesn't change. What you do might change a little, but not every day. So if you practice it enough times, it becomes almost automatic.
Like a reflex.
Exactly like a reflex. You hear, "Hi, nice to meet you," and boom, your introduction comes out smoothly. You don't have to think hard. You don't panic.
Okay, I want to talk about something you mentioned, where you're from, because this can be a little complicated, right? Like, what if you were born in one place, but you grew up somewhere else, or you live somewhere different now?
Great question. Yes, this comes up a lot. And honestly, you can keep it simple. You just pick the most relevant one for the situation.
What do you mean by relevant?
Okay, so let's say someone's name is Yuki. She was born in Japan, grew up in Australia, and now lives in London. If she meets someone in London, she might say, "I'm originally from Japan, but I've lived in London for about 5 years."
That's helpful. So she's giving the most useful information for that situation.
Right. She's not confusing the other person with her whole life journey. She's just giving them the most useful piece of information.
And if someone's curious, they'll ask more.
Exactly. Remember the little doors. If you mention Japan, someone might ask about Japan. If you mention Australia, they might ask about that. You can always share more later.
Okay, so what about the what do you do part? Because some people don't have a traditional job. Like, what if you're a student? Or what if you're between jobs? Or what if you do a lot of different things?
This is so common, and I think a lot of people feel embarrassed or unsure about this part. Like, "I'm just a student," and they say it like it's not important.
Oh, yeah, just a student. Like it's not a real thing.
But being a student is completely valid. You can say, "I'm a student," and that's a great conversation starter. People will ask what you're studying or where or why you chose that subject.
That's true. And actually, saying you're a student is very relatable. A lot of people have been students. They remember that time in their lives.
Exactly. And what about people who have more than one thing going on? Like maybe someone works part-time and also has a small business, or they're a stay-at-home parent but also do some freelance work.
Yeah, a lot of people have complicated work lives now.
Right. And in those cases, I think the best approach is to just pick the one you're most excited to talk about. If your freelance work is your passion and you love talking about it, lead with that.
Because enthusiasm is contagious.
Yes. If you say something with excitement, other people get excited too. But if you say something like it's boring, they'll think it's boring.
That's such a good point. So your energy about what you do matters as much as what you do.
100%. Okay, let's talk about something else. Different situations. Because how you introduce yourself at a party is different from how you introduce yourself at a job interview.
Oh, definitely, right?
Very different. At a party, you might say, "Hey, I'm Alex. I'm a friend of Sarah's. How do you know her?" Very casual, very relaxed.
Yeah, that feels right for a party. Informal, fun.
But at a job interview, you'd say something like, "Good morning, my name is Alex Johnson. I have 5 years of experience in marketing, and I'm very excited about this opportunity."
Same person, totally different words.
Right. And the tone is different. The body language would be different. At a party, maybe you lean back, you're relaxed. At an interview, you sit up straight, you look professional.
So context matters so much. You have to read the room.
You do. And for English learners, this can be a little tricky because sometimes you learn one version of something and then you use it everywhere. Like someone learns, "My name is," and they say it even when everyone else is saying, "I'm."
Is that a problem?
It's not wrong, but it can sound a little formal in casual situations. Like if someone at a cafe says, "Hey, I'm Jake, what's your name?" And you say, "My name is Maria. It is a pleasure to meet you." That's a little stiff.
Ha, yes, that's a bit much for a cafe.
It's a bit much. So it's good to know both. "My name is more formal. I'm is more casual. Both are correct, but the situation tells you which one to use.
That's really useful, actually. So pay attention to how the other person speaks. If they're casual, be casual back.
Exactly. Mirror the energy. If they're relaxed, you can relax. If they're formal, match that.
Okay, I want to go back to something. You mentioned asking the other person about themselves, and I think this is a skill that not everyone has naturally. Some people introduce themselves and then just wait. They don't ask anything.
Yes, and that can feel awkward. The conversation stalls, there's a silence, and then both people feel a little uncomfortable.
So asking a question after your introduction is like keeping the ball in the air.
I love that. Yes, it's like a game of catch. You say something, then you throw the ball to them, and the question is the throw.
And if you don't throw the ball, they just have to stand there.
Exactly. So always throw the ball. Ask something, even if it's very simple, even if it's just, "And what about you?" That's enough.
What are some other simple questions you can ask after your introduction?
Lots of good ones. "Where are you from?" is always easy. "What do you do?" works. "Do you live around here?" if you're at an event or in a specific place. "How do you know the host?" if you're at a party.
Oh, that last one is really useful at parties because everyone at the party has something in common. They know the host. So it's a natural connection.
Right. It's a shared thing. You already have one thing in common before the conversation even starts.
I've actually used that one before and it works really well. The conversation just opens up immediately.
Because there's no awkward "why are we talking" moment. You already have a reason to talk.
Okay, let's talk about something I think a lot of learners struggle with, and that is what happens when you don't understand something. Like the other person says their name and you didn't catch it. What do you do?
Oh, this is so important. And I think a lot of people are scared of this moment. They heard something, they're not sure what it was, and they just nod and smile.
Yes, and then 5 minutes later, you still don't know the person's name and it's too late to ask again.
And we've all been there.
We really have. Okay, so here's the thing. It is completely okay to ask someone to repeat themselves. It's not rude. It actually shows you care. You want to get it right.
And how do you ask without sounding rude?
So easy. You just say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't catch your name." Or even just, "Sorry?" with a slightly questioning voice.
And people don't get offended by that?
Almost never. Most people understand. And honestly, if someone gets offended because you politely asked them to repeat their name, that says more about them than about you.
That's fair, and I think there's also a nicer way to do it, right? Like you can repeat what you think you heard and check.
Yes, that's a great technique. So if someone says a name and you're not sure, you say, "Sorry, was that Anna?" And then they either say yes or correct you. So you're not just saying what, which can sound a little rude.
Right, you're making an effort, you're trying, and that feels much better.
Exactly, the effort matters. Even if you got it wrong, the other person can see you were paying attention.
Okay, so we've talked about names, where you're from, what you do, how to ask questions. Let's talk about hobbies and interests, because in a lot of introductions, people mention what they like doing.
Yes, and this is where introductions get fun, because hobbies are personal. They show who you really are.
And they can lead to really good conversations. Like if you find out someone loves hiking and you love hiking too, suddenly you have so much to talk about.
Instant connection. And even if you don't share the same hobby, you can still be curious about theirs. Ask questions, learn something new. So how do you bring up hobbies naturally? Like when does it feel right to mention them?
Usually after the basics. Name, where you're from, what you do, and then if there's room to say more, you can add something like, "In my free time, I love cooking," or "When I'm not working, I like to go running."
When I'm not working, I like that phrase. It sounds very natural.
It does, and it sets up the hobby nicely. It says, "This is what I do outside of my work life. This is the real me."
What are some other phrases like that?
In my free time is very common. On weekends, I usually is good. I'm really into is casual and energetic. Like, I'm really into photography lately.
Oh, I'm really into is a good one. It sounds enthusiastic.
It does. It tells the other person this is something you care about, not just something you do, but something you love.
And what about asking someone else about their hobbies? How do you do that naturally?
What do you like to do in your free time is classic, very simple. Do you have any hobbies is also fine. Or you can be more specific. Are you into sports or do you like music? But those are a little more specific, so you're kind of guessing.
And sometimes guessing is fine. Like if you say, "Do you play any sports?" and they say, "Actually, I do. I play basketball." Now you have something specific to talk about.
Right, and even if you know nothing about basketball, you can ask questions. Oh, do you play in a team or how long have you been playing?
You don't have to be an expert on the topic. You just have to be curious.
That's it. Curiosity is the secret ingredient of every great conversation.
I want to write that down. Curiosity is the secret ingredient.
Please do. Put it on your wall.
Okay, let's talk about something that I think trips up a lot of English learners, and that's the difference between a formal introduction and a friendly introduction, because they can feel very different, and if you use the wrong one, it can feel a bit off.
Yes, context is everything. Let's think about a formal situation first, like a business meeting, or meeting your partner's parents for the first time, or a job interview.
Okay, what does a formal introduction look like?
So in a formal situation, you typically use your full name. My name is Michael Chen, not I'm Mike. You'd speak a little more slowly, a little more carefully. You'd probably offer a handshake, and your language would be a bit more polished.
So things like, "It's a pleasure to meet you," instead of, "Hey, nice to meet you."
Exactly. It's a pleasure to meet you is formal and respectful. Hey, nice to meet you is casual and friendly. Both are good, just different situations.
And "good morning" or "good afternoon" instead of just "hi" or "hey."
Right. The greeting matters too. Good morning, Dr. Smith. My name is Emily Wang. Thank you for having me today. Very different from, hey, I'm Emily. What's up?
Yes, you would not say "what's up" to a doctor in a formal setting.
Probably not, unless you know them very well.
Okay, what about friendly introductions, like at a party or in a class or just meeting someone new in a casual situation?
So in casual situations, everything is looser. You can use shortened names right away. I'm Sam instead of I'm Samantha. You can use filler words like so or oh hey at the start. You can laugh. You can make a small joke.
Casual introductions feel more like the start of a friendship, I think.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yes, a formal introduction establishes your identity and your role. A casual introduction starts a relationship.
And I think for learners, it's good to know that it's okay to be a little casual. You don't always have to be perfect and proper.
Absolutely. In fact, being too formal in a casual situation can make people feel distant from you, like they can't relax around you.
That's interesting. So being overly correct can actually work against you socially.
In casual situations, yes, you want people to feel like they can be themselves around you, and being relaxed yourself helps with that.
Okay, so let's talk about some common mistakes people make when introducing themselves. And I want to be clear, we're not judging anyone. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's helpful to know what to watch out for.
Of course, and you know what? Most of these mistakes come from nervousness, not from not knowing English. Nervousness makes people do funny things.
What's the most common one you see?
I think the biggest one is speaking too quietly. When people are nervous, their voice gets small, and then the other person can't hear them and has to ask them to repeat themselves, and that makes the person even more nervous.
A nervous cycle.
Exactly. So the fix is simple. Speak a little louder than you think you need to. Err on the side of being too loud rather than too quiet. In most situations, a little louder is much better.
That's good advice. What else?
Another one is going too fast. Again, nerves. When people are anxious, they rush. They want to get through it quickly. But speaking too fast makes it harder for the other person to understand, especially if they're also not a native English speaker.
So slow down, even if it feels strange to go slowly.
Yes, slow feels more natural than you think. Native speakers talk slowly in conversations all the time.
And I think for learners, going slowly also gives you time to find the right word. You don't have to fill every second with sound.
A pause is not a failure. A pause is just a pause. Everyone pauses when they think. It's normal.
I love that. A pause is not a failure. What other mistakes do people make?
Okay, another common one, and this is a sweet one actually, is apologizing too much for your English. Like someone will introduce themselves and then immediately say, "Sorry, my English is not very good."
I've heard that a lot, and I always feel a little sad when I hear it because the person was actually doing fine.
Right, they were doing great and they just didn't know it. And here's the thing. When you apologize for your English before you've even said anything wrong, you're kind of setting the other person up to look for mistakes. You're drawing attention to something that probably wasn't a problem.
That's a really interesting point. By apologizing, you make it a bigger deal than it is.
Exactly. Now, if you genuinely can't understand something and you need help, that's different. Asking for help is totally fine. But preemptively apologizing for your English before the conversation even starts, you don't need to do that.
What do you do instead?
Just start talking. Trust yourself. If something goes wrong, deal with it then. But go in with confidence. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be understood.
That's such a healthier mindset. Just speak. Deal with problems if they come. Don't create problems before they exist.
And honestly, most of the time, the problems don't come. Most conversations go fine. Better than fine.
Okay, what's another mistake?
Oh, here's one. Giving too much information too soon. Like I mentioned before, telling your whole life story in the first 30 seconds.
We've all met that person.
Yes. And it's not that they're bad people. They're often just nervous and they fill the space with words. But it can be overwhelming for the other person.
So the rule is keep it short. Let the other person ask if they want more.
Right. Give them the highlights, not the full documentary.
The highlights, not the documentary. Okay, what's another one?
Not making eye contact. This goes back to what I said earlier about confidence. When someone can't look at you, it makes the conversation feel a little uncomfortable. Now, I know in some cultures, avoiding eye contact is a sign of respect, so this can be complicated.
That's a really important point. In some cultures, direct eye contact can actually feel aggressive or disrespectful.
Exactly. So this is one where context and culture really matter. But in most Western English-speaking environments, the US, UK, Canada, Australia, making eye contact is generally seen as a sign of confidence and engagement.
So if you're in one of those environments, it helps to practice making eye contact.
Just natural, comfortable eye contact. Not staring, not looking away every second, just looking at the person as you talk to them.
It sounds simple when you say it like that.
It's one of those things that's simple in theory, but takes a little practice, especially when you're nervous and you want to look anywhere else.
Okay, I want to shift to something different. Let's talk about names, because names in English can be complicated. Sometimes people have names that are hard to pronounce, or they have a nickname, or their full name is very long.
Yes, names are interesting, and this is something both native and non-native English speakers deal with.
How do you handle it when your name is hard to pronounce?
A few options. One is just to say it and let people try. Some people will get it right, some won't, and that's okay.
Some people actually appreciate it when someone makes an effort to say your name correctly, even if they don't get it perfectly right.
100%. The effort matters. If someone tries to say your name, even imperfectly, that's respectful. That's saying your name matters to me.
Versus just ignoring it or giving up on it immediately.
Right. Okay, so another option if your name is difficult is to offer a simpler version. A lot of people do this. My name is Sao Ming, but you can call me Mike. Or my name is Alexander, but most people call me Alex.
That's really helpful for everyone. It takes the pressure off both sides.
It does, and it's also a kind thing to do. You're making it easier for the other person to feel comfortable with you.
What about the other side? Like when you meet someone and you can't pronounce their name. What do you do?
Best thing you can do is try. And if you're not sure, ask. How do you pronounce your name is a completely respectful question. Most people are actually happy when someone asks because it means you want to get it right.
As opposed to just guessing wrong and never fixing it.
Right. And then when they tell you, repeat it back. Oh, it's Fatima? Is that right? And they'll confirm or correct. And now you know. And they know you care.
I think this whole section is actually about respect. Saying names correctly, asking when you're unsure, it's all about showing respect to the other person.
Beautifully said. Introductions are really about that. They're your first chance to show another person you matter to me. I see you. I'm paying attention.
That's really lovely. Okay, let's talk about something practical. Let's walk through a full introduction from start to finish, like a complete example, so someone listening can hear what it sounds like when everything comes together.
Great idea. Okay, let's say two people are meeting at a professional networking event. Both speak English, but neither is a native speaker, and they both feel a little nervous.
Okay, I'll be person one. So, oh hi, are you here for the conference?
Yes, I just got here actually. I'm a little early. I'm David.
Oh nice, I'm Priya. Good to meet you, David.
Good to meet you too, Priya. Are you a local or did you travel for this?
I traveled, yeah. I came from Singapore. It's my first time here, actually. What about you?
Oh wow, Singapore. I've always wanted to go. I'm from Germany, but I live here now. I've been here about 3 years.
3 years. So you know the city well then.
Getting there. I still discover new places. So what do you do, Priya? Are you in tech?
I am, yeah. I work in product design. And you?
I'm a software engineer, but I've been thinking about moving more into product recently, actually. So your work sounds very interesting to me.
Oh, really? Well, maybe we should talk more. Are you going to the afternoon session?
I am, yes.
Perfect. Let's sit together and talk more.
And that's it. A full, natural introduction that leads naturally into a real conversation. Did you notice how smooth that was?
It flowed so naturally, and neither person gave a big formal speech. They just talked.
Right. They traded information bit by bit. Each question opened up a small door, and by the end, they had a connection. They found something in common: product design and software engineering.
And notice, neither of them said my English isn't great or apologized before they even started talking. They just talked.
And it worked perfectly, because good communication isn't about perfect English. It's about genuine exchange.
Okay, let's talk about something that comes up a lot: online introductions. Because now so many meetings and conversations happen online, on Zoom, on Teams, in online classes. Does the introduction change?
Great point. It does change a little. The content is the same: name, where you're from, what you do. But the delivery is different.
How so?
Well, online, people can't see your full body, usually just your face. So your facial expressions and your voice become even more important. A smile on camera goes a really long way.
That's true. When someone smiles on a Zoom call, you feel it.
You do. And another thing, online, it can be harder to hear clearly. So speaking more slowly and a little more clearly helps even more than in person.
And sometimes there's a delay, that little technical lag, so you have to be careful not to talk over someone.
Yes, online conversations require a little more patience. You have to leave space after you finish speaking. Give the other person time to respond.
I think there's also the question of, do you introduce yourself at the beginning of a Zoom call, even if your name is shown on the screen?
Yes, I would say yes. Even if your name is there, saying it out loud is warmer. It's more human. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, joining from London. That's much nicer than just being a name on a screen.
It makes you feel like a real person and not just a box on a screen.
Exactly. The introduction humanizes you. That's true in person and online.
Okay, we've been talking for a while, and I want to come back to the title of today's episode. This video will change your life. We started by saying that sounds dramatic, but now, do you still think it sounds dramatic?
Honestly, no. I think I believe it more now.
Me too, because we've been talking about introductions, but really we've been talking about connection, about confidence, about how you show up in the world.
Right. An introduction is small. It takes maybe 30 seconds, but it can change everything that happens after it. A good introduction can start a friendship, it can get you a job, it can make you feel good about yourself.
And about introduction, or worse, no introduction at all, staying quiet and not connecting can cost you those things.
So yes, learning to introduce yourself well in English, really well, with confidence and warmth, that can genuinely change your life. Not in a magic way, but in a real, practical way.
Every door you walk through, every room you enter, every new person you meet, you have a chance to make a great first impression. And now you know how.
And the beautiful thing is it's learnable. This isn't something you're born with or not. Everyone can practice this. Everyone can get better at it.
And the more you practice, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel,
The better your introductions become. It's a beautiful upward cycle.
I love that. Okay, let's do a quick review, just naturally, not like a lesson. What are the big things from today?
Well, the core of it is know your three things. Name, where you're from, what you do. Keep it short, keep it warm.
And then ask about the other person. Throw the ball. Don't just talk about yourself.
Right. And match the energy of the situation. Casual for casual, formal for formal.
Don't be afraid to ask someone to repeat their name. It's not rude, it's respectful.
And don't apologize for your English before you've even started talking. Trust yourself. You know more than you think.
Your voice matters. Speak clearly. Speak with warmth. Smile if you can.
And remember, an introduction is not a performance. It's the start of a connection. The goal isn't to impress. The goal is to connect.
That's the heart of it, isn't it? Connect, not impress.
Connect, not impress. Write that one down too.
My walls are going to be covered in notes after this episode.
That's the goal.
Okay, I want to end with something practical, something that people listening can do today, right now, after this episode.
Yes. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Say your introduction out loud, right now. Say your name, say where you're from, say what you do. Just those three things, out loud, even if you're alone, even if you're in your car, even if you're walking.
Say it like you mean it, like you're talking to a real person.
Yes, and then say, and you, at the end, because that's the habit we're building. Your introduction, then turn it around.
Do it a few times. Make it feel natural. Make it feel like yours.
Because it is yours. Your introduction is your story, and you deserve to tell it with confidence.
I love that. Okay, is there anything else before we wrap up?
I just want to say, if you're an English learner and you're listening to this right now, I think you're amazing. Learning a language is hard. It takes courage. And the fact that you're doing it, that you're practicing, that you're listening, that says something really good about who you are.
Truly. Every time you have a conversation in English, even a short one, even an imperfect one, you're getting better. You're growing.
And one day, very soon, you're going to introduce yourself in English and it's going to feel completely natural. And you'll think back to the early days and you'll be proud of how far you've come.
That's a beautiful thing to look forward to.
It is. Okay, well, I think that's a great place to end.
It really is. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We hope this was helpful, we hope it was fun, and we hope your next introduction is your best one yet.
Take care of yourselves, keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.